And now, back to Lee Elci on 94.9 News Now.
All right, like I said before the break, I owe my next guest an apology, heartfelt apology, and I promised him off the air that I'm going to get him elected, so it's going to be my mission.
That's right, you're coming door to door with me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no. Everything but that. Listen, this guy, I've only talked to him now here for 5 minutes. He sounds like the real deal, and I really, really thank him. 33rd District Senate candidate Brendan Saunders is joining us. Good morning, sir. And again, please accept my apology for screwing up the time.
Good morning, Lee. Thank you for having me on, Lee. You're only one man. I understand.
So we were talking off the air a little bit about your political background, but let's get to that second. Let's talk about your personal background because you're a pastor, right?
Yeah, I served as a pastor for over a decade. Actually, the whole reason I returned to Connecticut was ministry-based. So I'm a native of the district. I think that's one of the things that makes my heart beat and gives me passion is that I was born and raised in the district. I was born and raised in Westbrook. I lived in Old Saybrook. I currently live in Clinton. So I understand this district, and so that's what I'm about. So I left the district for a few years because I felt the call to ministry. And so that brought me to Pennsylvania to prepare. That brought me to Maryland to begin my career in ministry. But it also is what brought me home, was that I wanted to be close to home. My wife and I, we have a 14-year-old daughter. We wanted to come back to Connecticut. I wanted to do ministry in Connecticut. And so that's what brought us back, the opportunity to pastor a church, to actually start a church from the ground up here in Connecticut is what brought me home. And I did that for over a decade. As I said, I stepped down in 2017, but I had put my blood, sweat, and tears into that from 2008 until 2017.
I'm always fascinated when somebody says they get the call. What does that feel like when you get the call to religion? How does that work?
I love it. I love that question. I ask myself that often. Was it just heartburn?
Yeah. Well, it's too late now.
Exactly.
I got into the
My wife
ministry
was
school.
like, I wish you'd figured that out earlier. So I know that for me, I was a young college kid. I was in my early 20s. I was involved in politics at that point, and I was doing things locally for politics, and I was going, at that point, I was at Central Connecticut State University, was majoring in history, and was looking to go to law school. And something inside me was like, this is not the right path. I understood that at the core, I wanted to help people. I was helping in politics because I thought this is a way to help people. I was thinking towards being a lawyer because I thought this is a way to help people. And then you know how faith is, man. Faith trumps all.
That's it. There you
so
go.
You're like, wait a minute. If you really want to help people, why don't you help them spiritually with their spiritual walk? I was going through that sort of renaissance in my own life, in my own spiritual walk, where I'd grown up in the church,
right.
Had my rebellious years, didn't want to have anything to do with church folk, but now it was personal for me, and so it was that personal thing where it was like, I think God is actually telling me, this is a direction that I should go if I really want to help people, and so that's what it became.
Brendan Saunders, again, is our guest. He's fastly becoming my new favorite candidate out there on the political scene. Okay, so you're a pastor, you're minding your own business in a way, you're helping folks out, and then all of a sudden you decide to get into this dirty world of politics. Tell me what happened.
I said, if ever there's a world where they need Jesus, it's in politics.
Can I get an amen?
So what was happening was that behind the scenes, listen, and I can go back to this as well. One of the things that I realized in those college years was that the views that I had ultimately for me were rooted in my faith. And so here I am now, years later, I am being a minister, but behind the scenes, I'm helping out. I meet this young kid who's telling me all about how he's going to run and he's going to be a state senator and would I help him? And I'm kind of drawn to him because he's a Westbrook kid like myself, but I'm like,
Right.
yeah, so maybe we'll see what happens. And he says, my name's Art Linares, and I want and I said, okay, Art, I'm a busy man as a minister, but if I can do things behind the scenes to help you, I certainly will tell my circle of influence about you. And if I can do things behind the scenes to help you, I will. And I did. And after several years of helping with Art, helping with our current rep in my town, Jesse McLaughlin, helping some of these young guys, and I would always joke with them, this is a young guy game. I'm glad you guys are doing this because it's old guys like myself, man. We kind of the time came where it was like, okay, here's an opportunity. People are asking if you'd be willing to do this.
Right.
What do you think? My wife and I, we sat down, we thought about it, we prayed about it, and there were some things that really hit me were that, as I've alluded to, we chose to come back to Connecticut. We were living in Maryland. Life was good. We chose to come back to Connecticut. Ministry was involved, but also knowing the Connecticut shoreline was involved. She grew up in Deep River. I grew up in Westbrook. We knew that this was a great place to raise our daughter. We wanted her to be around her family and around good people, and we knew that's what was here. And so we wanted to do this. And so now I'm back here, and I'm going, golly, it's real expensive to live here. I'll go, what happened? I remember when this state was like this little jewel. It was this little hamlet between New York City and Boston, and there was no state income tax. There was manufacturing. My dad, for crying out loud, he worked for Pratt and Whitney, and then he worked for the Lee Company for years. Right, those types of jobs. My dad's job as a tool and die isn't even around anymore.
Right. Right.
And so the beautiful place. I understand you can never go back to what it was, but that also doesn't mean that we have to continue in the same direction that we're heading, which is pricing everybody out of here. The cost of living has just become ridiculous. And I'm like, my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, is not going to have the same opportunities that I have. She's probably going to have to go off to school and then leave because coming back and being able to live here is too expensive, and it's not going to be an option. And so all the opportunity that once was here, I'm afraid is disappearing. And I said, yeah, I'm willing to stand up and try and fight to reverse this trend.
Just so folks realize, the 33rd, just those of you out there are listening who maybe don't know, what's what and where's what, is Colchester, Portland, East Hampton, Hampton, East Hampton, Chester, Deep River, Essex, Lyme, Westbrook, Old Saybrook, or part of Old Saybrook, and Clinton. That's who you would be representing. So, and this is your first go-around into the world of politics. So it's a big jump. I mean, becoming a state senator, did you think about like something else first, or just because this opportunity jumped, you decided to jump?
I did. I thought about presidency, but it's occupied. So I said, let me set my sights a little lower.
Well,
I say to my wife all the time, I want to have big impact, So yes, I thought of other things. They were occupied.
All right, so you are sort of like a unicorn of sorts, right? Your life as a black Republican. Tell me about that.
Yes. So I am a black man. Yeah.
What? What?
The interview was going so well, and then he revealed.
We gotta go. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So let me start by talking about my parents. I grew up in a divided home, I like to call it. My dad, who was from North Carolina, was a Democrat. My mother, who's from Old Saybrook, was a Republican, or is a Republican. However, neither of them ever pushed their political views on me. In fact, they were very to themselves about it. They really believed in the whole idea of a secret ballot and all that. So they never really pushed their views on me. But what they did push was, first of all, there's no such thing as blind loyalty to a party. You examine each candidate individually. You look at what their track record is. You look at whether they are somebody that can be trusted, whether they are somebody that is out for themselves or can be trusted to work for you. If you haven't taken the time to do your homework, then you shouldn't vote, was kind of where they were at. But not voting wasn't an option. So do your homework.
Right.
And then second, how does their views align with our faith? As I said, I'm born and raised in the church, so how do their views align with our faith? So that was what they gave me, and it was, as I said, check each individual. Now, then, in my adolescence years, who becomes president but the great Ronaldus Magnus, Ronald Reagan? I think there are some black people that really don't like my obsession with Ronald Reagan, but I don't care. So Ronald Reagan was president during my childhood, and here was this man, and I don't know if you know this, but he was an older white man.
Oh yes, I've heard rumors.
And
yes.
Here was I as this young black child.
Right.
But what it was, he connected with me, and what it was about values. It was that he believed in people. He believed in opportunity. And these are things that my parents raised me. You know, my parents raised me to work hard and not to expect a handout. My friends, they got stuff. I worked and bought stuff, okay? I bought my Commodore 64, my Atari, and my Nintendo. None of that stuff was given to me. I mowed lawns. I shoveled driveways. You know, I had a paper route in third grade. So here was this guy as president who basically said, yeah, if you work hard, there will be opportunity for you.
Right.
Well, that's what my parents had been telling me. Son, work hard. You can't tell a sharecropper from North Carolina that you want something, that you deserve something. He's going to tell you, boy, go work for it. Go get it. And so that's where I connected with Ronald Reagan. His administration, to me, rolled back what at the time, of course I didn't realize this as a child. My mother tells stories of life under Carter and all that, but his administration rolled back oppressive government, and that opened up opportunity. And that's what I saw, was if you're willing to work hard, this is a place where you can do something. And so I was proud at 18 to register as a Republican. I was proud to do that. So now, here I am, still this unicorn in the, as you said, in the party. It's an interesting line. First of all, you can already tell if people get to know me that they understand quickly I'm not your I don't know, stereotypical anything. I guess I'm not. I don't know that I'm your stereotypical black man or your stereotypical Republican or anything. You know, I am who I am, and that's great. But it is interesting. As a black Republican, you're a political minority within your racial group, but you're a racial minority within your political group. You know?
Interesting. That's a
good. Yeah, you have to deal with this thing where I have people in my own race who immediately think, oh, Uncle Tom, and then I have people in my own party who I'm like, do you guys truly understand the struggle of my people?
Yeah.
And so you walk that line, and it's very personal for me.
That's got to be the most frustrating moniker someone can hang on you as an Uncle Tom for you. I can't think of anything worse, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah, because it goes against you have your own individual thoughts and your ideas, and you have reasons to believe that. And then when somebody comes along and calls you that, I think if I were in your shoes, that would be what would make me the most angry. Is that?
Yeah, and yet I try. I'm horribly optimistic.
Right. Well, I get it. No, it's good that you do that.
I try to think the best of folks, and even in the face of that insult, I realize that comes from a heart that has been hurt, that has struggled, and feels like, until I can sit and talk to them and they get to know me, feels like I may not be helping with the progress. I'll give you a great example, and I'm just going to say it. So, Barack Obama.
Right.
You might have heard he was president.
Yeah.
As a black man, and I think parents will understand this. As a black man, I could not be more proud of the fact that a black man had become president.
Right.
I had a third grade teacher look at me and say, Brendan, you are so intelligent. You are such a natural leader. I could see you becoming president of the United States. That was what my third grade teacher, Miss Ryan, said to me, and I can tell you, Lee, I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime.
Interesting.
Now, what was horribly disappointing is that I disagreed with him on almost everything politically. And that's where I think parents can understand, is that you have a child who you're so proud of their accomplishments, you just wish that they would do it more like you taught them to do it, right? And so I spent, a lot of his presidency just going, kind of shrugging my shoulders like, oh.
Man. I like you. Brendan Saunders is his name. He is running in the 33rd. So I don't want to run out of time without giving you a few opportunities to hammer away. We got a website or just a Facebook page?
Yes, website went live today, SaundersForSenate.com. Saunders is SAUNDERS, the number 4, Senate.com. That's where you'll start to see some of my dealing with the issues. Up till now, I've been making my way around and just letting folks get to know me. So the website is up. Facebook, Saunders for Senate is up as well. I kind of been telling my story there. Over the next few weeks, we're going to start having some Zoom gatherings where I'll bring folks in for a forum where we can further discuss the issues.
You need to raise money, and it's in part because the guy that you're going against, I guess, spent more money than anybody last year, right? Needleman spent like $1 million to try to win that seat, I think, right?
So you heard?
I heard the story. Yeah.
My understanding is that was about $600,000.
Yeah, $600,000. Yeah.
So I am trying to qualify for Citizens Election Program CEP funding. I need 300 residents who live in the district. You name those 12 towns.
Yep.
Who would be willing to give at least a $5 donation, and then there's an overall goal of raising $16,000. At which point, through that program, I am able to receive $100,000, and that will be the war chest. That and the ground troops that I'm mounting will be the war chest.
I cannot thank you enough for, first of all, understanding my mistake and forgiving me right away. But that's your job. You have to forgive me. You're a pastor.
I was listening. I was like, that doesn't sound like me.
I'm doing the interview with the doctor, and my phone's ringing, and there's nobody here but me because everyone's on quarantine. I'm like, who keeps calling? And it was poor you, and I'm like, I screwed up. So I owe you a big one. But when this all ends, I got to get you in the studio. So we'll get you down here. We'll have a few laughs. We'll talk some politics, and we'll have a little bit more time. We'll open it up. Maybe we can do a whole hour together and talk about everything from what you've gone through and all that goes along with all of that. So I'd really like to do that. I absolutely appreciate you coming on today. I wish you the best of luck. One more time, give everybody your website.
Sure, SaundersForSenate.com.
Sir, I will talk to you soon. Stay safe out there, all right?
Thank you. You as well.
All right, my friend. Have a good one. Good guy. I like him. He's good. And, again, we need to push him. I don't normally say that, but, again, I think that's somebody who can make a difference.